Oh, I'm so relieved to see you safe and well.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for your city and your
thank,
neighbors.
thank you. I mean, you can't even imagine. It's unimaginable. It's
Yeah,
unthinkable. It's crazy. It's
yeah,
like crazy. You just can't believe something like this could happen. And it's still happening, it's still going
yeah,
on.
yeah. Trying to keep our kind of, I got a lot of friends out there and checking in and making sure, and some family down in Santa Monica as well, just checking in on them. And yeah, well, I send you lots of love and hope everything is okay for you over the coming days and weeks as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really lucky where I am so far, but you just never know. I mean, anything can happen at any moment. That's the
Yeah,
frightening part of it, and we
these,
still have more wins coming up. So,
yeah. Well, let's take our mind off it for a little while and celebrate um, just the most amazing work that you do and have done, Eric. Congratulations.
well, thank you so much.
I've been very lucky at kind of looking back on some of the, particularly in the film world that you've worked on and spoken to so many of your colleagues that you've worked with, your students, I guess. Would you call them
Oh, you
students? I
have?
don't know.
Yeah. You've talked to some of them?
Yeah, I've got a bit of Emma Stone there behind me in La La Land. I did some
Uh-huh.
stuff with Austin for Elvis.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm hosting the A Complete Unknown premiere in London this week.
Wow.
And Cynthia and Ariana I spoke to as well. So yeah, I've
Well,
had you in my ears.
tell Timothy and Monica I say hello.
I will.
Premiere.
What a great performance. I mean, what a great film.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's so great. But let's talk about your journey. And I mean, this is what's lovely about, our podcast soundtracking is that, we decide who we want to speak to. And what's really great sometimes is shining the spotlight on those people who are so important to the creative process. Those kind of maybe unsung heroes who are so important and but never kind of we never really get the chance to dig deep. So I'm so excited to share your journey and how important what you do is to so many of the people that you work with. Would you call yourself a vocal coach? I mean, what do you put down on that form when you have to put your job title?
Well, I usually put down vocal coach because that seems now the term that most people just use. But the truth is, I mean, there used to be thought of as a voice teacher who was someone who focused mainly on improving someone's voice, vocal exercises to help them sing better. A vocal coach was more someone who helped people work on songs, the interpretation of the songs, the delivery of the songs, learning the songs, all of that. Um, and some people who do both. I've always done both things. And because I could play the piano, it was easy for me to be a vocal coach and accompany the
Mm.
singers, teach them the songs. But my focus was always more on vocal production. But like I said, in the past years, it seems like it's sort of been condensed now that we're kind of all called vocal coaches. So that's what I usually would put down on a form. I'm a vocal coach.
How did you how did you come to be a vocal coach?
Oh, sometimes when I answer this, I think people don't really believe me, or they don't think, or they can't see how this happened. But I started playing the piano very young. I was obsessed with listening to people sing and
Hmm.
playing the piano. And so the first real touch of it I had was in the third or fourth grade. I always get confused on which grade it was, but it was the third or the fourth grade. I think the fourth grade, where the teacher couldn't play the piano very well. But every morning she would stumble through America the Beautiful, Star Spangled Banner, our patriotic songs.
Hmm.
And so I said to her one day, I can play them. And she said, You can? And I said, Yeah. And she said, Show me. And I did. And the next day she made this big announcement from now on, Eric Vetro will and I was like, Oh, wow. Like it made me feel very important. It sort of gave me a little bit of an identity. Then
Hmm.
in the fifth grade, the most popular boy in our class, we were doing a musical skit. I mean, literally a 10-minute little thing. But anyway, he wanted to audition to sing the 1 minute Prince song, the song that the Prince would sing. And I took him home. I taught him the song. He ended up doing it. And that just kind of bonded us. And
Mm.
so, we were complete opposites. We never were going to spend a lot of time together, but we always had this bond going through junior high school and high school after that. And so that also, once again, gave me an identity like, oh, I have this gift or this talent, whatever, that can be helpful to people. And then when I was in high school, my cousin Debbie, she entered some beauty pageants, some school musicals. So I started working with her. And so technically, I guess what I'm trying to say is I have never done anything else. It's all I've ever done. I never had a newspaper job. I just always did this. And then in
Amazing.
college, people started paying me. I mean, the first check I got from playing the piano for the choir, I was like, oh, they've made a mistake. I wonder why they've sent me this check. And then I went to return it and they went, well, you earned it from playing the piano for the choir. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, really? I was so excited that they wanted me to play. I was stunned that I would get paid for it. And it just kept going from there. Snowballed, really.
What's lovely as well is people can sign up to the BBC Maestro show because you've shared your story and your advice on that as well. So that is such a gift to give people.
Oh,
Um,
I'm so glad you brought that up because yeah, it's limited. I'm one person that can only teach one-on-one a certain amount of hours during the day. And I teach a lot of hours, but I have my limits. And so when the BBC Maestro people asked me if I wanted to do a course, I jumped at it. I was really excited to do it. I thought all the things they had done were so classy. Mark Ronson doing music production, Sir Tim
mm.
Rice, music lyrics. I mean, I couldn't even believe my name would be mentioned in the same organization as Sir Tim Rice. That just blew my mind, and Mark Ronson and all the other people. So anyway, I jumped at the chance, but what it's turned out to be is such a gift to me because now, as a matter of fact, I was at a New Year's Eve party and a couple people came up to me, one young girl who was the daughter of someone at the party and said, I've been using your course and it changed my voice already. And my friends who were with me were going crazy watching this happen. They couldn't believe that
What?
people were coming up to me, telling me they had been using the course, it changed their voice, their friends heard a difference. So that has been so exciting to me because now I go, all right, good. All of the years of experience I've
Mm.
had is now being able to be given to people who either they couldn't afford voice lessons or they certainly couldn't, I wouldn't have the time to work with all of them, or they might not have the time to go to see a voice teacher. And now they can just do it in the privacy of their own home. They can even do it while they're driving. They can do the vocal exercises. And so I'm so, so happy to be able to now have that as part of my life. I'm just thrilled.
And it's so great as well because it can do so many different things for people. It could just be as, something that gives someone confidence. It could be something that gives someone the next step in a career. It could be just for pure pleasure. That's just the wonderful thing that everybody who signs up for it kind of takes from it what they want. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's great.
And I kept that in mind that for any age and it's whether someone has aspirations of having a career in music or just someone who wants to go to karaoke and sound better.
Yes.
Maybe their local community theater and they've been wanting to audition, maybe it was something in their past that they weren't able to pursue because they had to make a
Mm.
living in a different way. But now they might go, oh, I want to do this local production. I want to audition for it. Well, now their voice can be in shape to do that.
It was so lovely kind of prepping for coming to chat to you today because your resume, so to speak, is this amazing collection of kind of people and songs and performances that we've all watched and loved. And your part in that has been so important. But I imagine that these actors and singers that come to you, they're just people in the end, so they must have their inhibitions, their fears that they have to kind of deal with and work on like anybody else.
Yeah, well, everyone that comes is going to be in a slightly different place. I mean, there's similarities, obviously, but if you're an actor who's gotten cast in a movie and you've never sung, let's just go with that person. I don't want to say panic stricken, but they're very like concerned, like
Hmm.
what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah.
And then there's some that are very excited to do it because they've always wanted to sing, or maybe they sang, but their career took them in the path of the acting path, but now they're getting to sing. And what I always say is working with actors is so fulfilling because they are so grateful. They are just
Mm,
so happy that you're helping them achieve this dream of theirs, and everybody around them is happy too. The director, the musical director, the music supervisor, they're all really great. I've had no bad experiences in films. It's
mm,
been really great. Then the other side of the spectrum is the young pop stars who want to have a career. I'm so excited to work with them for so many reasons. If no other reason, though, I want to show them good, proper techniques so they can maintain their voice when the going gets rough,
yeah.
because people don't realize how much is involved in a pop career. They just think, oh, they're singing at night for maybe 90 minutes or 2 hours on stage. They don't realize they might have been up at 4 in the morning to do a TV show or a radio station interview, and then they have to sing. So they have to, warm up their voice early in the morning and then interviews all day and pop up meet and greets and all of that, and then perform at night. And then
Mm.
you're so amped up and excited at night, it's hard to go right back to sleep. So that can be really, really rough and exhausting on someone's vocal cords. So I really pride myself on teaching a really healthy method that is going to be sustainable for their entire career.
And when you've worked with someone like Ariana, for example, in terms of as a pop star, and then this journey, she's acted from a young age as well, but her role in Wicked required so much of that experience of her as a vocalist, but also kind of really pushing her as an actress as well. And was that a kind of, were you working with her differently to for that particular role and looking for, and finding that character within her voice and within her performance?
Yes, well, I met her when she was around 13. We started working together
Wow.
way back then. So I've seen almost every stage of her, development through the years. And she's always had just an incredible gift. I mean, she was really, really given a great set of vocal cords, pretty extraordinary. And so she always had an amazing amount of talent. But what we did differently when we were working to prepare for Wicked, first for the audition, then for the actual movie, is train her voice to be much more operatic, to have that legit Broadway, if you know that term,
Hmm.
legit Broadway sound, because it was so different than the music she normally sings, her own music. And so she wanted it to sound as authentically Glinda as possible. So we worked on training her voice in a much different way for months before she actually did go to London. And so that was also so gratifying and thrilling to me. I mean, from the minute she came out in that bubble and was singing those high notes, oh my God, the first time I saw it, I got so emotional, because
Yeah.
I just thought it sounded so beautiful, but not just beautiful, it was exactly what she wanted to achieve, that operatic sound.
And allowing, because I think one of the things with her performance that I loved, one of the many things as well, was how great her comedy was as well within that role, and kind of allowing that to be part of her vocal performance as well, and finding that lightness and, kind of almost little dance in a way was just beautiful.
Yeah, well, I mean, she was able to hone some of those comedy chops when she was on those early TV shows on
Mm,
Nickelodeon. And so anybody who watched them knew that she had the ability to be really funny. However, that was a specific character she was playing, named Kat. So I think that people who did see her in Wicked were surprised that she had such a comedic ability. But anybody who knows her knows that
mm.
part of the charm and fun of being around her is that she's hilarious. She's really funny. She can make me laugh. She can say one thing just with a certain look in her eye and an expression on her face and make me laugh. And so that did not surprise me at all because I knew she had that in her.
Mm.
Plus, when we were working on it, she would keep me laughing when we would rehearse popular. She tried a million different things. So whatever you saw on the screen, just know there was another 50 things that were hilarious about it that we never get to see because they can only choose one take,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
one version of the comedic moment. But she had, 20 more for each comedic moment there was that were equally as funny. But I was also impressed that I thought she played it so beautifully, the dramatic parts of the movie, just even when she started the realization that maybe Fierro, the man she loves, is perhaps having feelings towards Elphaba, and
Mm.
she wonders why he's being so distant to her. And I thought she played that so beautifully.
Yeah. Storytelling in her performance, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
exactly. Exactly.
And then, I'm working with Timothy across, two very different productions, on Wonka and then on a complete unknown. And I was lucky enough to chat to him and Elle actually, a couple of weeks ago, just before Christmas, actually, about it. And he talked about that and about how much joy he got out of, playing Wonka and that particular type of performance. But then, this has been something that's almost just been fighting to get out of him, this performance of Dylan that, it's taken so many years to finally come to fruition. But do you mind talking a little bit about, working with him across two very different preparations, diving into finding what that character is and what that performance is for Wonka and Dylan?
Yeah. Well, I would first of all have to say that Timothy Chalamet is probably one of the most talented people I've ever met. I mean, he has it. He has that gift. Then on top of it, he really works hard. He's very diligent about his work. So he has a great work ethic. He's
Mm.
very passionate about what he does. And then on top of everything, working with him is so much fun because he has this great personality. As you know, if you've met him, he just oozes charisma. I mean, he's just a really, and I always used to say he's kind of a unicorn in a way. He's such a unique person, unique human being that he just has so much charisma. When he walks in the room, the energy is just off the charts. And so it was so great working on both projects with him. And I mean, he had when we worked on Wonka first and then on Dylan, but he already had so much of Dylan down. I
Mm.
mean, I would never take a lot. I would not want to take a lot of credit for that because I feel like he already really had it. But I tried, adding little things like hearing little extra things or maybe polishing certain things, or once again, keeping his voice healthy so that
Mm.
he could do it all the time and he could do it live.
Live, yeah.
So but it was a great experience. It was really fun working with him, discussing Dylan. He really delved into every year of Dylan's life, how his voice changed from year to year, how his attitudes would change. He really delved into all of that. And so that was really just a very fulfilling project to work on because of his work ethic and because of his passion towards it. It really made every session that we had together was really interesting and really fun. I'll always think of that as one of my favorite working experiences.
I think one of the many things I love about his performance with it is that, and it's not it's his interpretation of him. It's not he's not trying to mimic Dylan. It's Dylan, but it's Timothy's Dylan. Um
Yes.
and the other thing that I love about it is the way that we are being introduced to so many of those songs, and that in itself almost informs how he delivers them because so many of the songs when we hear them in the film are being created, they're being written. So I love that about it. I love that we're kind of there with him as he's scribbling in his notepad and he's sat on the bed, kind of constructing those songs. It's quite a unique thing, isn't it?
It is really unique. And, as you're saying it, it's reminding me of when I first saw the movie from top to bottom. There were moments when I actually forgot about Timothy and just was watching Bob Dylan. It was really amazing to me. I didn't realize it when it was happening, but when I was talking to some of my friends who I was with after the movie, that's when I realized, oh, I got lost in the movie. There were times when I wasn't paying attention that it was Timmy anymore. I was just watching Bob Dylan creating the songs, his interpersonal relationships, how he was with other people,
Mm,
what some of his thoughts were. That was really amazing to me because I know him so well, and yet to be able to just get lost and sort of forget about him and just watch Bob Dylan, that
mm,
was pretty incredible. He really found exactly the right balance of portraying Bob Dylan, capturing the essence of Bob Dylan without doing impersonation of him.
yeah. And Austin was really similar as well, wasn't it? In terms of with
Oh,
Elvis.
Absolutely. They're very similar, not so much in their personalities as human beings when you're in the room with them, but they have both have that strong work ethic. They both have a passion for what they do. And yes, working with Austin, I met him when he was 18 or 16, when he was 16 years old. And so I've known Austin a long time. And then he dated another one of my students, Vanessa Hudgens, for many years. So I
Yeah.
knew all of that. And it was really exciting to get to work on the Elvis material within the audition and then the actual prep before he went to Australia for the movie. And he's very much like Timothy Chalamet in that he really immerses himself into the character. Austin began to change even the way he started dressing, the way he started looking, his hair, his voice, speaking voice, everything. He really took it so seriously. And that performance blew me away. I
Mm,
mean, I knew it was going to be great, but when you see it on the screen like that, he
yeah,
really captured Elvis.
totally. I was on the BBC. I was doing BBC Radio actually this week. And I played a couple of Timothy's versions of Dylan on the radio, and they sounded just so great. Oh,
It's
I was like,
candy, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I know. I know. It's like, well,
so
what's
cool.
was is I hesitate to say this because I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, but I have friends who said I like these songs now more with Timothy singing them than I did with Bob Dylan singing them. I understand the words better. It means more to me. I think I like his voice better. Like people would tell me I liked it even better. But the truth is, like I said, I think he found the perfect balance
Yeah,
between portraying the essence, really capturing who Bob Dylan was, what the magic was, but not doing an impersonation. It was
yeah,
not an in any way, shape, or form. And that's what was so great about it. It's one of those performances that I think is going to endure for many, many years to come. People will always be talking about it. It sort of is going to be, it set a high mark. Let's just go with that. It set a
yeah.
really high mark for future performances for people doing biopics.
Well, I'm hoping we're going to get like a trilogy out of it at least. Do you know what I mean? Like he does different decades of Dylan. That would be my dream.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty amazing to
I'm
think
putting it
about.
out there, Eric. I'm putting it out in the universe.
You
Um,
have to do that. That's the
yeah,
only way you can make it happen.
yeah. I've got to say congratulations. I mean, there's so much to talk about with you, but Maria is what a great. And I was lucky enough to chat to director about that last week. He's Pablo's just the world of opera obviously is so personal to him. With his with those memories of with his mother and it's so lovely to hear him talk about that. So it meant a lot to him, and talk about an actor, a performer kind of just submitting themselves to a role and how raw and revealing that performance is for someone like Angelina to be terrified to do something like that, but to be as powerful as she is on that screen. It's for someone who never sang. There's your example of someone who never sang. It's like,
There's
but
your
wow.
example. Yeah. And once again, I mean, I will be eternally grateful, first of all, to Pablo for asking me to work with her. I mean, from the minute I met him, you can't you don't have to spend more than 5 minutes with Pablo Lorraine to realize what an amazing human being he is, what a passionate and excited. I mean, he's so dedicated to what he does.
Mm,
I just loved him from the
mm.
very minute. And I also felt that way with James Mangold when
Oh, isn't he the best?
oh my
Oh,
God, just
oh.
so great, so great. I was like, I remember I said to the music supervisor, I hope I get more meetings with James. And he was like, well, you probably won't. You don't need to. And I was like, well, let's make up a few things so I can. But anyway, with Pablo, we had a lot of discussions, and every time he was so excited about making the movie and so impassioned to make it a great movie and to make it a tribute to Maria Callas. And everything he said, it was never casual. Like, well, I'd like you to do this. He was like, you must do this. Everything was very excited. And so that made it really inspired me to do the best job I could. And then, of course, meeting Angelina Jolie, who is just one of the most angelic, magical human beings I've ever met in my entire life. I don't know how she does it. She manages to be very serious about what she does, but in a way that you just enjoy being around her. She
Mm,
has this beautiful, lovely personality. She would always address my dog when she came and give my dog a little bit of attention, give me attention to who I am as a human being. You can ask her about any country, and she can tell you so much about these countries. I
mm,
don't know. She has so much information in her head. But she is one of those people who, as they say, the cliche is walks the walk, doesn't
yeah.
just talk the talk. She is that person. And she was so determined to honor Maria Callas, and that was really beautiful too. I thought, wow, she talked about her like she was a live human being, like she was with us,
Mm,
and how she wanted to protect her, and that was so beautiful to observe. And she worked really hard, and learning all of those arias is very difficult. First of all, just the language, pronouncing the words, singing those notes is like near impossible. And the other thing is that people don't realize, if you're singing a pop song or a rock song, usually there's a beat. So, if you can stay with the beat, if you have any kind of rhythm, then it's pretty, I'm not going to say it's easy, but you can get in sync.
mm-hmm,
But because she knew they were going to mix her voice with Maria Callas's voice, opera, there is no beat. Most of the time, those long lines, they have to do with the singer, how they're holding them, because they're singing above the orchestra, but they might hold the note a little bit longer, then speed up the next part. She had to learn how to do that in order to stay completely in sync with Maria Callas. And that to me was extraordinary. That to me, out of all the things that she did, that was the most impressive, because
mm.
I don't know if I could have done that myself, just to be able to just get in sync with those lines and speeding it up and slowing it down and holding a note longer. That was amazing that she was able to do that.
It was wonderful to hear her. I think it was one of the actors round tables that she was taking part in, and she said that she hadn't appreciated or even considered what she would take away from the experience in terms of learning to sing. And she felt like it unlocked something in her, a freedom in a way. In terms of as women, we're kind of like we multitask and we just crack on and get things done and everything's kind of suppressed. And what she was taught with you was this to let it out and to let it breathe and to explore that. And she said she's changed her life. What a lovely thing for her to say.
I know. Oh, I know. It was so lovely. It makes me feel so incredible, to be honest with you. It's thrilling to hear that. And we did a little, I guess it's for the like extra footage when people want to watch things about the movie and how the movie was made. So we did a little thing a few months ago, right before the movie came out. We did it in at the end of November, early December. And she even said then, maybe I'll come in and take a few more lessons. And I miss the music studio. And she told me what a difference it had made. And
Mm,
and I knew it was happening while she did it while we were working on it. But I didn't realize how impactful it had been for her,
mm.
and because she is such an amazing human being, that just heightened the whole feeling for me. It's like
Yeah,
it would have been gratifying if anybody said that to me, but for someone like her, because like I said, I look up to her in so many ways, that she's put out so much good in the world. She's done so many good things. Her work with, all over the world,
yeah,
going to different countries. She's so fearless the way she goes in and wants to help people and do good things. Even with me, there was a personal thing. She had met some people who were developing, I don't want to get it wrong, I'm paraphrasing, but it was some kind of root in some country, whatever it was, and they were going to make some drink out of it. And I said, oh, a friend of mine started a company where that's quite successful with kombucha tea. And she was like, oh, I would love to talk to them. I would like to get information from my friends. And she was calling them her friends. She had just met them in another country, but she was determined she was going to help them.
help
And that's
them.
not something the public would ever know about.
Yeah,
That's who she is as a human being.
yeah,
And I see the way she is with her kids too. when her kids, one of her daughters has a real love of musical theater.
Mm.
So she took her to New York and she worked on the musical The Outsiders with her. And I
So
mean,
great.
what an amazing opportunity and what an amazing experience she's giving her daughter who loves musical theater to actually be in on the creation of a musical. That's invaluable. That's just
Yeah.
completely invaluable. And I
Um,
even hear the way she is with her own dogs. Her dogs, they worship her. They look at her. They don't take their eyes off
oh
her. They
my.
just love her. And so she's a magnetic human being.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got an amazing wall of celebration behind you and around your room
Oh,
behind you. That's a lovely collection of discs there. And I imagine just a very small section. Listen, I could chat to you for hours, and I really hope next time you come across to the UK, we can get a chance to sit down and maybe do part two of this conversation because I wanted to talk to you about so much stuff like even things like Tick Tick Boom and that little beautiful little Irish film Flora and Son that you worked on as well.
oh, I'm so glad you
Ah,
brought that up. Oh my God.
I
I
love
mean,
that film so much.
I loved it too. I loved it too. And once again, I'm so lucky. It's hard to explain, and I don't. Sometimes I don't want to talk about it because I feel like people are going to think, oh, he's just going on and on and on. But the truth is, working with someone like Eve Houston, oh, what a incredibly lovely human being.
Yeah,
Every single session I looked forward to because she is just so lovely. And I didn't know what the movie was going to be like, but working on the singing with her, I was so impressed with how far she came so fast. And then when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, what a beautiful
isn't
performance.
it?
Wonderful performance. Yeah, but
Yeah.
she was just so great to work with. Oh, I loved every minute of it.
Oh, your enthusiasm and joy for what you do is infectious, Eric. It really, really is. It's lovely to chat to you about it. I hope I'm going to sign up for the masterclass myself because I feel like I need your expertise to just for me, for no other reason than just for me. So I'm going to
Oh,
sign up for sure.
please, please let me know what you think of it. Let me know. And if you have any questions after doing it, but I tried to make it as simple as possible. I was determined not to use big technical terms that I felt
Mm,
would people wouldn't appreciate or would go over their head or they wouldn't memorize. I try because I don't like it when people talk like that. I feel like singing, the most important thing is that you sing from your heart or you
yeah,
sing from your soul and that you enjoy the process of it. So I didn't want it too technical. So there's not a lot of technical terms. It's very practical. I put, and the exercises for beginners, intermediate, and more advanced,
yeah,
so that it would be easy. I made it as simple as possible. I made sure there were examples of each exercise. And then with people singing the examples, there's videos of me working with people in a master class so they get to observe that, what
right.
that like. There's a video of me working with two singers, giving them a voice lesson. So you can observe that. So that'll help you to know how to do the vocal exercises. So I really put a lot into it for people to really genuinely get something out of it. I know that myself, if I watch something, I want to be able to take away really practical advice, usable advice. And like I said, for this, it's long because I did put in so many vocal exercises.
Yeah.
And so people can really have a lot of useful, it's like having a workbook, come to life, a live workbook. So please let me know what you think of it.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm going to feed the kids and then I'm going to sign up.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's so
You
nice meeting
too.
you.
You too. And I hope we get to meet in person at some point in the future. And thank you for your time and congratulations.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thanks, Eric. Take care. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.